Hi, I'm Risk, your new favorite artist, and today we're doing a cozy sketchbook session. Grab yourself a drink, a snack, or doodle along with me while I have a little chat with you. Here we go! For this session I wanted to finish a sketch of Sephiroth from Final Fantasy that I had already started a few days ago. I wanted to draw something cyber, tribal, core-y, and Sephiroth came to my mind when I finished the tribal style frame. I will show you all references I used on the screen whenever relevant. I used a mechanical pencil for the sketch and lined it with a Copic fineliner in the size 0.5. I gave him glasses in this drawing because I felt like it would look absolutely stunning on him with his long white hair, and I have had that idea for a long time now and finally put it down on paper. Usually I hate lining traditionally because my fineliners never do what I want them to. I love using a certain type of pen which draws with a consistent ink flow and no line variation, like Muji pens for example. It always turns out messy when I use regular fineliners, but I gotta use my old ones up anyways. I have a lot of unused fineliners laying around from when I mainly created traditional art, and maybe one day I will gain the skill of controlling them with more confidence, but that hasn't happened in the about 15 years of art experience I've gained. After I lined everything, I started to add shading with a graphite pencil, and this made the whole drawing look so much better. This was my way of fixing the rather wiggly line art that always happens when I use regular fineliners. While I shade this piece, I want to share some thoughts I have about being an artist that sometimes sells at conventions. Let's talk about recent drama, which is already a few weeks old by now, but that I've witnessed in the German artist alley community. I won't go into who this is about, but the general underlying problems that I would love to comment on with my current feelings about the matter and why I think Artist Alley isn't gonna be a lot of fun anymore in the future. Here is what happened. Two artists who tabled at a German convention got treated very unfairly by the organizers that did not deliver the service that the two artists have booked for the event. Basically, you have to book your table if you want to table at an artist alley where a fixed table size is provided, often including the tables themselves. The event allegedly did not provide the ordered table size, and they didn't even provide any tables at all. The two artists had to gather spare tables from the venue and assemble them themselves. To keep it short, the organizers were not very helpful with the grand mistake they had made, and the two artists felt like they had to go public with a reel about the situation, since the organizer didn't care to answer in time or answer at all, to improve the situation, nor refund them when they were still communicating privately. They only refunded them after the reel had gained attention. I will not comment on any legal nuances that might affect the situation, and I am not on any German artist discords and did not witness any private conversations on the matter, but here is what I think is really upsetting about the situation. Artists who attended the event and other unrelated artists as well defended the organizers in the comments, stating the two artists who documented the situation with their reel were hurting the whole event and other artists that will attend the event in the future, since this convention will likely have a bad reputation after this viral reel. I think it is total nonsense to shove the responsibility of creating a bad reputation onto the two artists that use their platforms to call out the event's organizational issues publicly. The organizers have created the situation themselves through their own behavior and the way they dealt with the situation in the first place. This is not how you treat customers that you owe a service they paid a lot of money for. Especially if you have the experience of holding an event like a convention successfully. An interesting comment in a video from Bun Shop, who is not related to the drama in any way, she stated that the table prices for artists and the provided services by convention organizers are not matching up anymore. From this comment I could tie together some parallels with other symptoms of a bigger underlying issue in the convention space in general, which I have noticed over the years of tabling myself. We all pay more for tables due to all prices rising lately, but there is no increased value on the good that we pay, in my opinion, disproportionately more for. The return of investment is not the same as it was in the past, which puts us artists as the loser of the issue. The table sizes have not changed despite the increased prices. The customers, in this case convention goers, have rather declined in numbers, and the ticket prices to enter conventions in the first place have increased too. At this point, it has become an expensive hobby to visit a convention over the years, and there are less and less people who can afford to go at all. Adding to that, the overall convention experience has not changed in years, which is also a factor in the general attractivity of attending a con. That is sad, considering that cosplaying and going to conventions used to be very inclusive and a liberal hobby. I say all this in combination with being treated unfairly by organizers more often in recent years, despite being a huge part of why people still love going to conventions. This is of course just based on my personal feelings and not proven by fact. These circumstances affect all artists in the artist alley who are dependent on such events. But can you guess who it doesn't affect as much? Yes, it's dropshippers. In the comments of the original Artist Alley debacle I talked about, there was a specifically interesting person claiming to be an artist that also tables at conventions, but to be honest, they just buy unethically produced hand-crocheted flowers, put them together as a bouquet, and added some knockoff Sanrio plushies to get people to buy the product in the first place. This seller was someone who defended the organizers in the comments. My guess is that such people depend on being able to attend conventions as sellers, to make any money at all, but they take up the table space for other artists trying to enter the event. This is just one of many examples of, I will kindly generalize them as grifters, who consider themselves artists and table at conventions alongside actual hardworking artists who create all their art and products themselves that profit off of the convention economically, but do not contribute to the spirit of a conventions like real artists do by generating a real community of genuine interest, as well as defend them when they are treated unfairly. I do want to explain more precisely what I determine as a grifter, which is just based on my personal opinion only. You're allowed to disagree or add your opinion in the comments, I'm very interested. Grifters to me are people who dropship, oftentimes Sanrio related items found on AliExpress or Alibaba, sellers that sell 3D printed slop that has low quality, and also AI artists that have not been blacklisted yet. These people are increasingly infiltrating the artist alley spaces and vendor halls over the years as a chance to earn money with their soulless creations, or rather mass-produced items. Very often they will defend themselves as artists because they will take their hand-bought items and alter them to pass as creators, like the person selling the bouquets that I mentioned earlier. This is not what I personally consider art or entitled to a space in the artist alley. It's also false advertising if you state it's handmade to people who cannot know better. But many artists know better. They have been in the business for many years and can spot ingenuine people looking for a quick buck right away. You're not doing yourself a favor by reacting with ignorance and positioning yourself as an opponent to those artists that put actual love into their art. By actual love, I mean that genuine artists are not thirsty for money, but they put themselves out there because they believe that their creations will find mutual interest in others and support their passion in a way that they can support themselves adequately. By now I have seen so many AI artists that try to swindle their way into artist alleys. Fellow artists and creators have called them out, but many are still successfully managing their way into the space. It's ironic to think about how they will always defend their slop as art, but will not defend the community if it is treated unfairly, because they are just here for the opportunity and not here for the overall well-being of the community, since they can hop onto the next viral space to sell their stuff at. On a positive note, I have seen some conventions actively blacklist creators, as well as conventions emerging that strive to bring back the old community-grounded experience, focusing on supporting artists and their craft, and I can only see that as a win for all of us. This year I applied for only 2 conventions in my area. One is a small convention that I have attended for many years now, and it is one of my favorite conventions because it feels very authentic and the visitors are always super lovely. I make enough revenue that makes me want to go the next year, and I have many fun conversations with my table neighbors and attendees as well. This is what makes me excited about the convention every year. Of course, that small convention is not perfect, but it is and has been authentic, and I never had any issues with the organizers at all. The other con that I applied for has only been held once and is happening the second year in 2025. I've heard many good reviews about them and the way they treated the artists last year. It is also a smaller convention, but they have a specific theme that separates them from other events, as well as only allowing 18+ attendees and visitors. I think, or rather hope, that separating your event from other conventions that have been around and never changed much over the years is a recipe for success. Age restrictions can be a negative thing for the success of the event, but they will probably thrive on it because it can work as their selling factor and attract a specific kind of audience that is very willing to pay for a custom experience. I will link them both in the description if you're interested, and these 2 are the only ones I will call by their name, since with at least one I have had a good experience and the other one I am trusting to gain more traction over the years, and I want to promote conventions that seem trustworthy in my opinion. I think I have ranted enough about how I feel about the state of conventions and artist alleys for now. Let's talk about my sketching process for the spread. I saw a 3D pose base on Pinterest and used it for a fashion sketch. Since I don't have many OCs that I am passionate about that are into modern fashion, I decided it's a cool idea to use Miku instead. I feel like it's her true destiny to be used as a character that can fulfill many needs since she is so moldable. For the outfit I looked through my fashion pins on Pinterest and looked for something aespacore, because I like the aesthetic of that vibe and the way it expresses into fashion. I'm not really happy with her face here, but it's never an actual problem since I can always redraw her if I feel like it. The joy of sketching is to draw things out and try again if you aren't happy with the result. Sketching should be stress-free. I'm obviously speaking to myself here too. Some of my friends have been drawing Miku too when they were younger, and I feel like we are not the only ones. Many of us discovered Vocaloid in our teens, and it kind of stuck with us throughout the years. There are just so many fun outfits that you can draw them in, and the music made it even more enjoyable. Now that I'm older, I'm not really into it anymore, but Miku will always stay iconic to me. I think this is why she will never stop trending on Twitter. And also the reason why I attended her concert in 2018, passionately yelling lyrics at a simulation displayed on a screen. I felt very connected to my childhood in that moment, to be honest. I still vividly remember when you got bullied for liking anything anime related. I'm very glad times have changed though. Now you can see me sketching Winter from aespa, who I found a photoshoot picture of during my search for a outfit for Miku. I thought it would be cool to sketch something out with a highlighter, because my goal is to get better at drawing with a pen and no sketch underneath. You should try out this exercise. I think it's pretty fun and will probably improve your hand-eye coordination. For the rest of the page, I focused on filling it up so it looked more interesting and to challenge myself to not abandon pages that are not very interesting to look at. Behind Miku, I practiced on some more tribal-inspired doodles and whatever I was able to come up with in my head. I'm trying very hard lately to get more creative with blank spaces as they are challenging but worth spending time on, and will be more interesting to look at when you flip through your finished sketchbook. Past me thought that highlighters look very cheap in a sketchbook or on any medium, but to be honest, since I only write on computer, it's time to use up the pens that I have gathered in my pencil case, which I will likely not use as much in the future. I also think it doesn't even look too bad, and it's a very accessible way to add colors. Some of them are very old and are desperate to finally be used. I really want to stock up on art materials like acrylic brush pen markers because I recently tried them out and fell in love with them right away, and the sketchbook paper is handling them pretty well. I already tried using alcohol markers like Copic markers in here, but the bleed through is too bad to be enjoyable at this point. I also think it's a waste when the paper sucks up all the ink. In the end, I added this fun little guy, which I think turned out very cute. I hope you enjoyed this sketch session and maybe even created some art while listening to me yapping. I would love to know in the comments if you attend conventions at all and feel the same way as I do. Maybe you might disagree with me completely, which is also totally fine. Have a pleasant rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.